It's Sunday, the 9th of July, and this is Juan Brown with a special Oroville update on the wall fire impacting the Oroville area. The wall fire is located just south of the Oroville Reservoir, very near the small town of Bangor, California, and that's about 22 air miles from right here on the back porch. And right now the weather conditions at 3,200 feet on the back porch are about 85 degrees with very light winds, which means this fire event, these are favorable weather conditions to keep this fire event fairly well contained at this time. But if the winds shift, if the winds pick up, the whole thing can take off again. So we've gone from flood season to fire season in 6 short months, and after a record-setting amount of rainfall this year, it's impressive to see this strong of wildfire activity this early in the season. Typically here in Northern California, we get our most devastating wildfires in August, September, even September and maybe even a little bit into October, when those dry north winds hit Northern California. But here in early July, it was the north winds, in fact, that drove this particular fire event, the wall fire. The wall fire started on about 3 p.m. Friday afternoon, and the weather conditions at the time were winds out of the northwest at 7, gusting to 15, with a 14% relative humidity. And by the end of that day, the fire had grown to 2,000 acres. Today, Sunday afternoon, the fire is somewhat stabilized at 4,650 acres. The fire is currently 17% contained. There's over 1,000 personnel working the fire. 10 structures have been destroyed, 5 damaged. 750 structures threatened. Evacuations mandatory and recommended have been in place. I'm not sure in the number of evacuations, at least 100 to 200 people have been evacuated from the area. There's been a total so far of 6 injuries, 5 civilian and 1 CAL FIRE. Growing up here and learning to fly here at Nevada County Airport, I spent a lot of time at the Grass Valley Air Attack Base, actually worked on some of the old air tanker aircraft over the years. Before I got on with the airlines and after I got out of the Air Force, I spent a year flying for the U.S. Forest Service as a lead plane pilot trainee. And that 1 year flying for the Forest Service gave me a lifetime of adventure and a fairly clear understanding on wildfire. So let's go inside on the computer and look at some pictures, videos, and maps of the wall fire. Butte County, very near Oroville Dam. Here's a typical air tanker dispatch out of Grass Valley Air Attack Base, Nevada County Airport. The 2 S-2T tankers and the OV-10 spotter plane. Of course, these tankers were converted to turbine engines some years ago from the old radial engines. Tanker 88 is first out of the gate, piloted by none other than Colin Rogers, my friend and neighbor, right here in Nevada County. Now remember our discussion about heat and the effect on airplanes. Located at 3,150 foot elevation with a temperature of nearly 35 degrees Celsius, the density altitude here is exceeding 5,900 feet. So Colin is using over 3,000 feet of runway on a fully loaded 1,000 gallons worth of retardant in his tanker on our 4,300 foot long runway. The wall fire is located just south of Oroville Reservoir between Bangor and East Oroville at about the 1,000 to 1,500 foot elevation. The cause of the fire at this time is unknown. The fire is located near the China Wall Road, and that's thus the name, the wall fire. Gusty winds out of the north and northwest quickly got this fire going the day it started, Friday the 7th of July, and blew it up to 2,000 acres. Now today, Sunday, the 9th of July, we have more typical light westerly winds that are giving fire crews a break. There's a TFR, temporary flight restriction, over the area, a 5-mile radius, 10-mile diameter, up to 7,000 feet, and that includes drones, so no Mighty Luscombe update for now. Here's some shots taken by my friend Tim O'Brien on another fire, illustrating the typical low-level terrain conditions these pilots operate in. About 6 to 8 of the CAL FIRE S-2s were operating on the wall fire, and soon the VLATs, or very large air tankers, including the DC-10, was called in as well. Here's an early map of the wall fire. Fire crews break down the division of responsibility on these fires by branches and divisions. And here's a map as it stands now at 4,000 acres. Here's a couple of shots from viewers in the area. And now let's go check out some spectacular Oroville Dam cam time-lapse footage of the wall fire. This is a 1-hour time-lapse reduced to 1 minute between 7 and 8 p.m. on Friday. And look at that whirlwind to the left. This is looking south from the Oroville Dam. Winds are out of the north-northwest. Just eating up the real estate. Ground crews responded from all over the state, and air crews operated out of both Nevada County Grass Valley Air Attack Base and Chico Air Attack Base at the Chico Municipal Airport. This fire should have no effect on the ongoing operations at the Oroville Spillway and Repair. The fire continued to grow in intensity, eventually consuming 2,000 acres by the end of Friday. Now here's some impressive photos taken on the ground by Josh Edelson of the AFP agency French Press, showing some of the structures that were lost. Now Josh thinks that a lot more than 10 structures were lost in this fire, and these numbers are all going to get updated. So stay fire safe, be fire smart. I'll be back with a regular update on the Oroville Dam soon.